Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be transitioning into the phase of my marriage. I mentioned from the last video, after the rushed wedding, 4 days after that, he left to the United States. So between that 4 days and the next 5 years, it took 5 good years before I was able to join him. So what happened between those 5 years? First of all, he visits home every year. The first year I had my first daughter, and the second year he visited again and again and again. And after that, thank God, 5 years later, I joined him. Now, after I joined him, that's when things took a very significant shift, because now I'm beginning to understand the person that I got married to. Two things stood out. He wasn't actually the Christian man that he projected himself to be when I met him. You know, going to church is not good enough. Going to church doesn't make you a Christian. It's the lifestyle. So the people he associates himself with and the type of lifestyle, the things that he talks about, I was just beginning to question myself. Is this really the person that I met? But another thing that also started happening is I found out that what he wants is just to always be in control. Everything has to be how he wants it, when he wants it, and how he wants it. So all I was able to do is say yes and yes and yes. And these years, after 1 year, another thing that started happening is that I was asking myself, okay, what am I going to be doing here? I remember the first time when we had a conversation about him traveling. I was referring to, okay, what about going to school? What about my continuing my education? And those questions I asked, the thing I can remember that he told me is that, don't worry about it. Once you join me in the United States, it will be very easy. You will have all the time, the best school, the best days and that. But I brought that topic up again, and the response was never the same anymore. He only chose for me to go and learn how to sew and also be a hair braider. So knowing how to sew and braiding hair was all he believes I could do. Now, for me, I was never in agreement. I believe there is so much more potential that I have. There are so much skills that I know can come out of me, but I couldn't refuse his orders. So I decided to follow him to a braiding shop. That's what my job became, braiding. And this braiding period of time was very stressful, because with my first daughter, after 1 year, the second year, I had my second daughter. It was very challenging to be at the shop braiding. And then after I'm done braiding, at the end of each shift, every penny that I made from the braiding, I have to surrender everything to him. I didn't have any savings. I didn't have any money of my own. And when I wanted to ask, but he would tell me, but what? There are bills to pay. There are things that I need to take care of financial wise. So just hand over the money. And that was how it continued until I was no longer comfortable with that. So, but what could I have done if I decide to, come up with another idea? There's nothing I could do, and there's nothing I could say that matters. I have to stick by his rules. This continued until I had my first son. Before I had my first son, though, there are significant changes that started happening. Most times I would not see him at home. Most times, even when he comes home, I want to talk to him. There was no relationship as husband and wives anymore. And I decided to, take my time and see how things could change. Because like I mentioned earlier on in my video, my fantasies about marriage and everything I was hoping to witness and to explore in my marriage was not what I was seeing. So, but the thing is, there was nothing much that I could do. I had to face this type of lifestyle for the first year, for the second year, but after I had my son, something else happened, and you're gonna find out in my next video. Thank you.